Hey everyone, it is Melissa with Sincerely Creative Mom. We are making a pancake wreath today. It's going to be about 24 inches wide, but fairly thin to fit between your main door and your storm door. Even if you don't have a storm door or a screen door, it's still going to be beautiful on the front of your door or your customer's door. This was created from a kit. It was a wreath kit. It came with all the pieces you're going to see here, the supplies to make the wreath. So this is going to be the tutorial for that. It was the Baking Spirits Bright Kit. It's a 10 by 10 sign, so we're going to set that aside. It came with a roll of one of my favorite meshes. It's the jute with the red and emerald green foil going through it. It's beautiful. It's one of my favorite meshes. I've already gone ahead and cut the pieces that we needed, except for one. We're going to cut one together, and this is what's going to be left. So we need 20 inches on the mesh, 20 inches. So I'm just using my wire cutter as a paperweight, kind of. I'm using my rotary cutter and my self-healing mat, and I'm cutting at 20 inches, okay? You can use a scissors if you want. If you don't have a rotary cutter, that's fine. But just make sure we're cutting at 20 inches for this specific design. So I have just a little bit left, and I'll set that aside. We can use that a different time. So we have here our pancake wreath frame. It comes in a bundle, so it comes in all three pieces. You get the sign extender. So just the sign extender, you can add it to the back of a sign, and you can add a bow, some mesh, you can add greenery, you can a whole bunch of things. We do have a video also on YouTube that you can check that out. So that's what that's for. We have the 10-inch frame, and then we have, of course, the 14-inch frame, which we will be using today. So I'm going to set those aside somewhere else so that they don't mix them up. Okay, the kit came with the pipe cleaners. It came with the mesh. It came with the ribbons you need for the bow, and it came with the ribbons you need for the tails. So the ribbons come folded kind of just like this. So this is the bow. These are the bow ribbons. I'm going to highly suggest, please hear me out. These are about 12 inches. They're wrapped in 12 inches. Your ribbon tail ribbon also comes like that, except for we need our ribbon tails to be 14 inches. Okay, the ribbon tails are 14 inches. So don't just cut, okay? Especially you don't want to cut the bow ribbon, obviously. But don't just cut these and think you're going to get your tails. You need them to be 14 inches, so make sure you are measuring out before you cut, okay? So I've already pre-cut those, and we'll go through that a little bit later. But right now, so these are for the bow. The diagonal, the solid green, the stripes, and the polka dots, those are for the bow, okay? The gingerbread and the large polka dots are for your tails. All right, so we're going to get started. The first thing we're going to do, of course, is add our pipe cleaners to our patent pending pancake wreath frame. So super easy here. All I'm going to do is add the pipe cleaner exactly where the holes are that match the notches. Okay, so I'm just going to go in where the hole is, come back out on the other side. Now, a couple of tips here. You do not have to worry about those being the same length when you tie them. Doesn't matter. We're not putting a whole lot in this design, so it doesn't matter how uneven they are. Number two, when I'm tying the outside tie, I'm tying it closer to the notch. And when I'm tying the inside tie, I'm tying it closer to the notch. So it kind of goes in and it kind of goes out. Not that it makes a huge difference, but it does make a difference. So I'm going to try to always remember to do that. Tie it closer to the notch on the inside. And on the outside, I'm going to do the same, so it'll be opposite. We're just going to keep going around. Nice and tight. So then from here we took our roll of mesh and we cut 12 pieces. So we have 12 twist ties here. We cut 12 pieces at 20 inches long. Okay, so I've already done that ahead of time. And so what I'll do here is I'll take the this is truly one of my favorites. It is definitely one of my favorites. I like the neutral that comes in here that gives us kind of neutral, and it's really going to let our ribbons kind of really show off and shine. So here also we have a green foil line going right up the center. So I'm going to try to ruffle that right up the center as best as I can. I'm just going to keep my hands kind of guiding that all the way in, all the way up to the very end. Pinch it kind of tight so that it's nice and sturdy. I'm going to come right in here, just like that, to the outside. I'm going to start we're going to do everything on the outside first, and then we'll move on to the inside. So I'm going to overlap this and overlap the top. Now remember, we're making the pancake wreath, so we want these round and flat like a pancake. Our pancake is going to get a little distorted at the moment because I'm going to kind of tuck those in so we can still see those inside pipe cleaners, so when we're ready they're going to be here for us. Okay, I'm just going to unfold those kind of inside out so that we're still round but flat like a pancake. Okay, so we're going to keep doing that all the way around. Ruffle all the way up. Now this will take some getting used to if you haven't made these, done this before. What I might suggest is, if you've never used the mesh before, what I might suggest is after you've cut the 20 pieces for your actual wreath, go back to that go back to the roll that's left, okay, and cut off a piece and practice so that you're not using the pieces you cut for your actual wreath as practice. It just takes a little bit to get used to. You just want to make sure that that is really thin. Really small. That inner ruffle here is kind of small. Right, so I'm keeping it pinched nice and tight right there, going right down. Right down so that the mesh touches the wood nice and tight, and then overlap here, overlap on the top, get those pipe cleaners out of the way, and then kind of snuggle it up underneath there. Now these on the outside will barely touch. Your mesh that goes on the inside will definitely overlap, and that will be good because then it'll help cover that frame, so you don't see the frame. Listen, no one's going to want to see that frame more than me, since this is a patent pending invention with me and Damon from Deco Exchange. And so I know I love to see the frame, but in a wreath, even I don't want to see it, right? It's just our foundation. It's not part of our design. And so in this case, we want to make sure that it's covered as best as we can. Again, I did mention we're going to do the whole outside first. So we're going to put the mesh on, and then we're going to do the ribbons. It's just the way this kind of design works. So since we're doing all this kind of special stuff with the mesh, once I have it done, I don't want to mess with it. And so once we had the top layer done, if I was going to go then to the first layer, this bottom layer, and then put on the ribbons, I'd be kind of messing with the mesh on the top, and then I'd have to go back and fix it again. So I decided, we're not doing that. I'm just going to start doing the whole outside first and then work our way to the inside. And honestly, it doesn't make any difference, and it works so much better, so that you don't have to touch things twice. So right about now, if you're going to use those zip tie mounts that came with your kit, those are for your sign. So right about now, probably before this, I should have mentioned that, you want to get those out and make sure you use them You're going to put them on the back of your sign. I usually put mine on side to side. You're going to take the green piece off and expose the sticky piece. Okay, and then you're going to add, it would be best if you add a little piece of, a little teeny tiny dab of DAP Rapid Glue. This is highly suggested, and to also make sure that it's completely dry before you attach the sign to your wreath. Okay, so what I do is I peel this off, I add a little bit of DAP Rapid Glue, and then I add, I don't have them with me, but I have, I don't have them at my fingertips, but I have bigger clamps that I add to make sure that it kind of stays nice and tight. They're big red clamps. I can't see them in my vision right now, but then I just leave it there and let it dry, okay? That way you have a better chance of them not coming off. Now, in this case, I'm going to actually use a staple gun, and I'm going to use pipe cleaners and staples. If you have a staple gun, by all means, you can use that. If you don't have a staple gun, you can use the zip tie mounts that were supplied in the kit. Okay? All right, so from here, remember I said we're going to work on the whole outside first and then go to the inside. So from here, we're going to work on the outside ribbon tails. Okay? So we have 2 ribbons, 2.5 inches long. I put my favorite on the top. So if your favorite is the polka dots, put the polka dots on the top. My favorite, of course, is the gingerbread, so I want those on the top. So I just folded them. Before I folded them, before I put them together like this, I'm going to fold the ribbon, okay? I'm going to cut on the fold up towards the edge. So it makes that beautiful little V kind of polished look there. Okay, so then I take my top and put it on the bottom. I'm sorry, you know what I mean. Okay, and then I'm going to fold them, find the center. Once I have the center, I'm going to unfold, and then I'm just going to pinch up that center. Just pinch it up, just like I was kind of gathering the mesh. Pinch it up, pinch it up, pinch it up. So it's nice and little. Hold it out towards me like this, and put it right in that pipe cleaner. Take your pipe cleaner, twist it. I twist it like 7 or 8 times because when I cut this off, I just don't want it to come loose. Okay, I don't want it to come loose. So then I'm going to pull them apart and pull them side to side, and then pull them apart, and then pull them side to side. So that all of them are out, facing out towards me, and I'm going to keep a pattern going. So polka dot, gingerbread, polka dot, gingerbread, polka dot, gingerbread. I'm going to keep that going all the way around. So it's easier on the eye, it's nicer to look at. This, I don't know why, but this had to be one of my favorite kits so far this year. I love the sign, Baking Spirits Bright. I think that was so cute with the gingerbreads. It's just adorable. Y'all, if you want to make sure you're getting alerts when our kits are available, please make sure you're on our email list. You can do that by going to melslinks.com right up here, melslinks.com, and right under my picture you'll see a spot that says join emails. So make sure you're there, and then when a new kit is available, I'll send an email. And then the email friends have first dibs before I make it public. Okay, so I'm going to keep that pattern going all the way around. I always make sure I pull those apart, because when you scrunch them together or ruffle them together, they kind of become one. So I want to make sure I'm pulling those apart to make sure they are going to stay where I put them, right? I don't want them to go back to where they want to be. I want them to stay where I want them to be. So twist, 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 twist. Pull it apart, pull it side to side. pull it apart, pull it side to side. And also always make sure for this design especially that your ribbon tails are all coming out towards the edge, so that when you put your next layer of mesh on, it is not going to get covered up, right? Because you're putting ribbons on the inside, it's going to totally get covered up. Okay. Now, I'm just going to take our wire cutter here and cut off all the excess. We just don't need them. You're not going to see them, so you don't actually have to do this step, but just so that y'all can see and not get confused with what's going on and it'd be a little easier, I'm just going to cut them off. Okay, so we don't need them. Just make sure you're not cutting off the pieces that we still need. Okay. All right, so then we're going to go to the inside layer and we're going to add our next layer of mesh. We're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to go right on top. Now you know why I kept those out, so I can see them. We're going to go right on top, do the exact same thing with the mesh, exact same thing with the ribbon. Then we'll add our sign and our bow. Here's where you'll start to see that frame disappear under there. I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but I can certainly see it. So here's where you'll start to see it disappear with our inner layers of mesh. Okay, we're going to keep going all the way around, doing again the same thing. So I'm going to put the mesh on first, just like I did with the first layer, and the ribbons on second. Again, that just has to do with overlapping. So remember I pointed out that the outside mesh didn't overlap and the inside mesh is going to overlap. Here we are. This is going right on top of the other half. So if I had ribbons here that were coming out this way, this mesh would be going on top of it. So we don't want that to happen. Okay, but now this, see, covered this part exactly. So now you can't see that frame in there, which is awesome. I love how the jute in the mesh, the brown kind of color, picks up the brown in the gingerbreads. This is definitely one of my absolute favorite kits, which is funny because it didn't sell super quick. It didn't, like, it wasn't sold out in like seconds. Usually they're sold out really quick, and I thought for sure this one would be. This goes to show you what I think is what's my favorite might not be everybody else's favorite, but they did sell out nonetheless. So make sure you're getting that down in there and tightening it nice and tight. And it might not look like it, but I am being fairly gentle with the mesh. I'm not, you know, really handling it super tight, super hard. That's why I do suggest, if this is your very first time, cutting off a piece of that mesh to start and to kind of practice, because it will definitely fray. it will definitely fray. It's a woven material. It will fray. Your job and my job is to conceal that the best we can. And we do that by adding all this beautiful ribbon, the sign, and the bow. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Really good materials, great ribbons, beautiful mesh. There we go. Okay, then we're going to go right back in with the same thing with the ribbons right on top. So again, another layer, scrunched up the center, and go right on top. Then you'll start to see that layered look come in. It looks so pretty. Now I'm trying my hardest to not touch those outside ribbons until we're done, until the very end, because then you're just going to keep touching them. You're just going to keep touching them over and over and over again. So I just try to not do that until the end. You know, the less you're touching all the pieces, the less chance things are to, you know, just fray, not look well, not look good. Again, our ribbons are 14 inches long. The mesh is 20 inches long. Sometimes I do give practice ribbon out, a box of practice ribbon. I've been known to do that time and time again. And we choose someone. Sometimes it's from our email list. Sometimes it's from our text list. So you want to make sure you're on those. I don't send a lot of text messages. I do try to send an email, if not every day, every other day. Different things going on, blogs, videos, kits, classes that we might have. See, look, it kind of looks like a mess, right? But you're the boss of your ribbon, so you're the boss of where it's going to go and what it's going to look like in the end. So just make sure you curl it out, pull it out. Perfect. Last one, we're going to go right in the end here. Perfect spot, perfect room. Now I'm really making sure that those ribbons are tight and in there, and they're not just like floating. They're not just, you know, laying in there lackadaisically. I don't even know if that's a word. Okay, I'm going to cut off the excess. Again, not that it's 100% necessary, because we don't want to see them in the end, but just in case, we're going to cut off the excess. Now our ribbon is kind of all directions, and so we don't have to worry about there being a top or a bottom. I'm just going to kind of push those in a little bit so it kind of makes that center a little bit smaller, because our sign is 10 by 10. Now, if you want, you can lay this right in the center and be done. Look how stinking cute that is. That is adorable. I love this so much. I love it so, so much. Baking Spirits Bright. I mean, it's just adorable. But it does come with ribbon for a bow, so we're going to do that. So I'm going to prep our sign. Again, just like I showed you earlier, your sign does come with, or your kit comes with the zip tie mounts that you are definitely welcome to use. I personally like to staple things in with my staple gun. Now, my staple gun has 1/4 inch staples. My sign is not quite 1/4 inch. So I beef up my sign a little bit to make it a little thicker, where I'm going to add my pipe cleaners. I'm just using the back of a ribbon spool. It was an empty spool. I didn't buy it. It wasn't extra. Okay, so I'm just going to add this to the sides. And I added 2 pieces there just to give a little extra cushion. And then I'm going to do 2 staples. Again, you can use the zip tie mounts if you don't have a staple gun. I am going to suggest a staple gun, but I can't include staple guns in your kits. So I added an alternative. All right. So I'm not going to add our sign just yet. I'm going to make our bow and place our bow before we do that. So I'm going to grab our easy bow maker. Now I have super bad carpal tunnel. So y'all can do your bow however you want. However you want to do your bow, you are more than welcome to do that. I'm going to show you how I do it. I'm going to use the easy bow maker as a helper. Just because. And I'm going to put green on the bottom. Green on the bottom. And I liked the fact that we brought in a little bit of contrast with that lime green. Again, if you're not a lime green person, this is still adorable. And if I was going to do without that, I would make sure my green went in the center. Still super cute. But I wanted a little bit of just different, a little bit of different. So we're going to do green on the bottom, diagonal stripe. It's got a little bit of glitter here. We have a little bit of glitter here, and of course a little bit of shine here. And then I'm going to go with the stripes and the polka dots, okay? So we're going to start with our green. Now again, it comes folded just like this. You just want to unfold. Again, certainly don't cut these. These are for your bow, but don't just cut because these are 12 inches and you need 14, okay? All right, so we have 7 inches on the tail, and we're going to do 6 inches on the loop. Okay, then I'm going to pinch. Now, with the solid, you don't necessarily have to twist, but the stitching on the edges, it's just a little different. Plus, it's just by habit, so I always twist and then make my next loop, twist, and then make my next loop, pinch, twist, and set it down in there. Okay, now we're going to just leave the tails long. And then we're going to go with my next one is the diagonal stripe. Okay, diagonal stripe. Now, this bow comes with, or this bow has 2 loops on one side, 2 tails, and 1 loop on the other side. So every time I put in a layer, I'm going to make sure I'm making the double loops opposite of each other. So the next layer will be on this side, then this side, etc. Okay, and it's just going to help us with balance when the bow is all fluffed out. So I'm going to again make sure I have about a 7-inch tail. My loops are going to get a little bit smaller, but I like having those tails kind of the same length, and we can cut them off where we want them. Okay, so I'm going to make it next a little bit smaller, just a little, and then I'm going to pinch. Just using that previous layer as a guide. Twist, loop, pinch, twist. Now this is a little bit thinner ribbon, so you just want to make sure you have it all the way twisted. Loop, pinch, twist, and then of course we're going to put our double loops on the opposite side. And again, we will cut those tails off at the very end. So we're going to go with our next layer. Same thing. It's about a 7-inch tail, but my loop, but my loops are going to get a little bit smaller. So pinch, twist, loop, pinch, twist, loop. So I always try to put a bow on my wreaths. Everybody loves a bow, right? But these bows that we're making here can totally go for anything. You can use them for anything. All right, we're going to take the last one. I like to put a little button loop in the center, so it's going to be the smallest loop. And then I'm still going to do the 2 loops and the 2 tails and the 1 loop. So the first one is going to be a little bit smaller. It's going to be about half the size. And then my loops will be just a little bit smaller than this one. Okay, so we have our tail again. And then our first loop is going to be a little bit smaller, just like half the size. And then I'm going to pinch, still twist and loop. Okay, and then pinch, twist, loop, pinch, twist, loop, and then pinch and twist. Now, you see I have a tail on each side, a tail over here and a tail over here. Doesn't matter, I'm still looking for those 2 loops, and the 2 loops are over here, so the next 2 loops are going to be over here. So I'm going to slide that in, and then from here we're just going to cut off our tails, make it a little bit easier because they're kind of a little bit crazy. So we're going to cut off our tails and make them a little bit shorter. I'm just going to cut off the excess before I pull it out of there. That way it's a little bit more manageable. And then I'm going to pull it up off the top. Now, with these, we can totally make a cute little rag bow, little whatever you want to call it. I call it a rag bow. I don't know. It's just the rest of the ribbons that we're going to use, but we could. I do have a reel on Facebook that has showing that off. Anyway, I also, just because my little fingers are a little extra these days, I'm gonna, and they're not, you know, good with tightening things, so I am gonna use a zip tie and the tool to tighten it. You don't need the tool, okay? You don't need the tool. It just tightens the twist tie and cuts it off for me all at once. If your hands are normal, you don't need the tool. It's definitely not a necessity, but my hands are just not working the way they used to. My grandma used to tell me, my hands don't work, and I'd be like, Grandma, what do you mean? Anyways, okay, sorry, I digress. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this off of here and then add our pipe cleaner, and then we'll dovetail our ends. We'll add our pipe cleaner. We'll add the zip tie. You'll see. Okay, here we go. We're just going to take this off, nice and easy. Okay, once I have it all the way off, I just kind of squish it a little bit so that it's nice and tight. So that line there is nice and in line. You know what I mean? I also forget my words. So welcome to Melissa. And that is backwards. Okay, I'm going to zip tie that in. Again, you don't need it. You could zip tie it nice and tight. But this, here's my hands don't work. My hands don't hold this part, and so that I can pull it at the same time. Okay, I'm going to add my pipe cleaner just in case anything happens there. Okay, and then I'm going to add our dovetails. So just fold on, or fold it, cut on the fold. So bows are great. You can use them for presents. You can put them on your lanterns. You can put them on your lights outside. You can put this size all over your tree. So this is a perfect bow here can use it for so many things. In fact, you know what a grapevine wreath is? Just the twig base. You can just add a bow to the twig base and be fine, right? So many ideas, so many things. Okay, so I'm just going to take that now and fluff it out. Let's get rid of this. For sure, let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of this. Okay. Okay. So all of our tails are cut. Good, 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 good. Okay. So I'm going to take our bow. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull that center loop up to the top because it's going to hide our pipe cleaner here. So I'm going to pull it up to the top and kind of just wiggle it back and forth so it definitely covers that pipe cleaner. And then I'm going to hold those pipe cleaners behind right in my hand nice and tight, and my thumb in between here. And I'm just going to pull those tails, those layers out. Okay? So I'm going to start with the bottom layer. You're the boss of that ribbon. Make it do what you want it to. Okay? And then I'm going to have green, green, green in the center. And then I'm going to take my red and put it in between that. Okay? And then I'm going to take my next layer. I'm going to put the stripes over here, stripes over here, and stripes in the center. So I'm going to take the stripes over here, stripes over here, and the loop in the center. And then for this next layer, I'm going to put them opposite of the stripes. Okay? I'm going to put them just right there. Perfect. And then I'll take this and put it right out on the other side over here. So we have one layer completely fluffed out, and then we'll do the same to the other side. Okay? We'll do the other side, and then we'll just do the same exact thing. So we'll have our greens apart, our diagonals coming along here in the center, side to side, taking that over here and this over here. And then we have this beautiful bow, perfectly fluffed, perfectly balanced, super duper cute, right? It's perfect. Absolutely darling. Good mixture, good colors. Okay, so now I have this great big giant bow that I made so big because I like big bows. And so I'm going to shift our sign up just a little bit so that I can still cover those. Well, I'm actually going to cover 5 pipe cleaners this time. And then I'm going to put our bow right down here. So it's okay that our bow is going to hide our sign a little bit. Obviously, we don't want to cover the whole entire thing. But now that I know where our sign is going to go, I can add it. So I'm just going to take those pipe cleaners and put it right through down here. This is the hardest part of the whole thing. Getting that pipe cleaner to go all the way through the mesh is sometimes hard because you got a lot of layers in there. So what I've done, what I started doing, I don't put them in my kits, but for my own personal, I started using wire. Because pipe cleaners have 2 wires that are twisted together, right? And it's a pain. It's definitely harder than just one wire, of course. So flip that over so y'all can see what I'm doing. I brought one piece in over here, one piece in out here. So I grabbed it around the frame and just took the rest and snuggled it underneath there. Now typically I've been known to not add them and secure them completely until I have both of them through, just because sometimes, you know, they shift and you're shifting them back to make sure you're covering those pipe cleaners. So keep that in mind as well. Again, hardest part is getting all these through all the layers. So my hand is kind of up underneath the mesh. My hand is between the mesh and the frame desperately looking for the mesh or the pipe cleaner to come through. That's what's happening right now. There we go. Same thing, we're going to do that. Now you know why I didn't play with the ribbons too much. I just do that all at the end. Okay, now I have my sign attached. Now, you see these extra holes here? That could be used if, like, I could have taken this pipe cleaner and put it right through there, right? And then I would have just, that would have been easier to detach, and so I wouldn't have to grab the whole entire thing. All right. Not that we're completely done, but let's get these kind of in place. We'll add our bow just the exact same way we added our sign. Super, super cute. Y'all, I hope that you enjoyed this kit. I can't wait to see pictures of your designs. Yes, I would love to see them. You can text me at any time. You guys are not going to wake me up, okay? You're not going to wake me up. However, I will not text you back in the middle of the night. So, if you text me and you want my attention, I'll probably read it. Usually I'm reading them in the middle of the night. And hopefully if it's a question that I need to answer or I can't answer, I'll answer it usually in the morning if I remember. Get one pipe cleaner in. So again, I'm okay with covering that sign a little bit. Obviously, I don't want to cover it the whole entire thing. And I love that little bit of lime green contrast in that bow. Super cute. I did put the bow in intentionally a certain way. I wanted these tails to be kind of on the outside here, because they are the longest part of my bow. So one of the longest part of my bow out towards the edge. Super cute. Really, really, really cute. Again, this was definitely one of my favorites. I hope if you did get this kit, I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I do. I love it so, so much. It's darling. I just love it. I just love it. So again, we have the 14-inch frame, the 20-inch mesh cuts, the 14-inch ribbon cuts, the bow, the sign. It is definitely adorable and super thin to fit between your main door, storm door. That bow, of course, does come out a little bit. It makes it a little thick, but with the bow, don't tell any of my friends, but with the bow, you can kind of make it a little bit flatter. Right? You can make it a little bit flatter. It'll be okay to go through the storm door a little bit more flat. So just an option. You just want to make sure if you're listing this, you make sure you know what your dimensions are exactly. It's adorable. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoy our next videos. Don't forget, if you want our kits in the future, make sure you're on our email list. You can go to melslinks.com. How professional I am with a paper. I always forget to make something a little bit more professional. But it's Mel's Links. MELSLINKS.com. And then, of course, my phone number, 810-498-2310. Y'all, it's been a pleasure. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you again for the next video. Bye, y'all.